Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So the Olympics has finally come to a close with the closing ceremony just as bizarre as the opening. The Olympics where women's sports took a hit in more ways than one. So we had reporters being corrected live on air for not using they them pronouns.
And is timing her run into these championships to good effect. The colourful character of Raven Saunders back. Good to see her back, sort of. Sort of see her, I mean.
Well, we can't see them very well. Raven Saunders actually non-binary, and wearing the mask there, we're quite used to seeing them with interesting attire.
Should that be allowed?
Why not?
Why not, indeed?
We had a female being praised for competing in the women's category because she identifies as transgender or non-binary, whichever it is. And of course, it wouldn't be the Olympics without some twerking. So soon after, Imane Khelif and Lin Ting were crowned the women's Olympic champions in their respective weight divisions in women's boxing, we started seeing an effort to change the narrative. We started seeing an effort to rewrite history, something that seems to be a common theme at the Paris 2024 Olympics. Being here in the UK, I was blown away at people telling me that Khelif and Ting are female, that they were born women, saying that as a statement of fact. And it soon became apparent to me that people haven't been given all of the information. Some of the information has been filtered. If you're not on X or really researching it thoroughly, you would just be under the impression that these people are women and they just happen to have high testosterone.
Firstly, there's a lot of confusion in the reporting around this. Obviously, there have been some cases in the past where women born as women have naturally high testosterone levels, and sometimes there have been cases where it's transgender women. Do we know which it is in this case?
It's never about naturally high testosterone levels in women. When they talk about females with these high testosterone levels, they're really talking about males with disorders of sex development. And in some cases, rarely happens in developed countries, but in some cases, babies born with these disorders are wrongly labeled as female. And then they grow up and go through male puberty, and everyone then knows they're male. They have, I don't know these two individuals in particular, but this is well documented now, for example, with Caster Semenya, that they have internal testes, they produce testosterone, they go through puberty, they have all those advantages. And frankly, the prospect of these people boxing against women, if they are male, is terrifying.
Many people I have spoken to seem to be unaware that the IBA didn't even test for testosterone, because testosterone levels can be altered just in time for the test. Many were unaware that these two individuals were confirmed to have XY chromosomes based on tests that were done by the International Boxing Association. Say what you want about X, but at least things are put on there that the mainstream media seems to be suppressing. And one person who recently posted on X, weighing into the whole matter of Imane Khelif and Lin Ting, is biologist Richard Dawkins.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition? No,
Yeah.
I can't.
You can't?
Not in
Okay.
this context.
So you
I'm not a
believe the meaning
biologist.
of the word.
So if anybody can tell us what a woman is, it would be him, since he is actually a biologist. We're so thankful for his years of research, for his years of study, to be able to tell us what a woman is. Well, shortly after sharing his professional opinion on Ting and Khelif, he claims that his whole Facebook account was deleted, gone. And this may very well have been the offending post. Two men pretending to be women are being allowed to compete against real women in the Olympics. And he said shortly after posting that on X, not on Facebook, his Facebook account was deleted. My entire Facebook account has been deleted. Seemingly, no reason given, because I tweeted that genetically, male boxers such as Imane Khelif, XY, undisputed, should not fight women in the Olympics. Of course, my opinion is open to civilized argument, but outright censorship? We get told all the time, oh, you're not a scientist, you're not a biologist, you're not a doctor, you're not this, you're not that, so you can't tell us what a woman is. Apparently, you have to be all those things. So when it comes to a biologist, a world-renowned scientist, author, giving a professional opinion, even that person ends up getting censored. And you can't tell me that it's because of misinformation, because this is coming from a biologist. This is coming from somebody who clearly knows science. They don't know much about God, but they know science. Clearly, stating truth these days is very offensive. It is those who state fact contrary to the woke agenda who get censored, who gets silenced, despite all their qualifications, despite all their expertise. So if anybody tells you you're not a doctor, who cares? Because even doctors and scientists and biologists are getting silenced too. Now, I do not condone bullying or harassment, and I don't think that should be pointed towards these two boxes. However, stating that XY chromosomes makes a person male is not bullying. Stating fact is not bullying. Saying that you don't think males should be competing in women's boxing of all sports, again, isn't bullying. I would never say somebody like Richard Dawkins should be deplatformed for not believing in God or for being an agnostic or an atheist. I would never say that someone like that should be deplatformed just because it's something that I disagree with. But apparently, Facebook thinks it's appropriate to deplatform biologists for simply knowing what XY chromosomes are. And no matter whether you agree with somebody or not, as Richard said quite rightly, civilized dialogue should be allowed. He said, to clarify, I made the statement on X, not Facebook. Yet it is my Facebook account which is deleted. Now, I do believe it's a possibility that somebody with a high profile who says something on one platform could end up being deplatformed elsewhere, depending on the different terms and services or the different rules that each platform has. And some of those rules are made up as they go along, because a lot of people who get deplatformed have no idea why. And now Khelif's own coach has admitted that they were disqualified, both Khelif and Juting, because of chromosomes. That's it. That's why they were disqualified from competing at the World Championships. We're not talking about testosterone levels. We're not talking about opinion. This was an objective test that shows that their chromosomes automatically disqualify them from competing in women's competitions. One coach, or at least a former coach, has since revealed that Khelif was considered too dangerous to spar with women. When Khelif was training in Spain, the coaches and the organizers came to the conclusion that it was too dangerous for Khelif to be training with women, to be sparring against them. And guess what? They ended up pairing Khelif with a man, with a biological male. And that was considered more than fair. I wonder why. I remember the IBA said themselves that doctors and coaches, people who were involved in organizing the World Championships, they were showing concern. People were seeing huge red flags that pointed towards these boxers not being female. Regardless of what their passport says, people were observing what was going on and they had concerns. So Khelif's former trainer, Rafael Lozano, spoke to Radio Marca recently and said it was unjust to include Khelif in the women's category. I don't see it as fair. Everyone can think what they want, but that's how I see it. So this was from his observations of Khelif while training at the sports centre CAR Bloom in Madrid. They were doing a retreat at Bloom and we couldn't put her with anyone. We put her with Jennifer Fernandez and it hurt her. Whoever we put Khelif with was injured. Is that bigotry to say that? If this person is recalling everything accurately, isn't lying or anything like that, is it bigotry to just state fact that women were injured while being paired with this person, just in sparring, not even in a competition setting where the aim is to knock your opponent out. Lozano said they had to pair Khelif with a male boxer to reduce the risk of injury. They ended up pairing Khelif with one of Spain's top male boxers, Jose Quiles. That's who they paired this person with, because pairing this person with women was too dangerous. They were getting injured. You really can't make this up. But today, when people show concerns about what the IOC has allowed, we get called ignorant. We get called bigots. We get called liars even. Tell that to the people at the training retreat who witnessed all of this in Spain, that they're ignorant, that they're bigots, that this person was born a woman. So just allow this person to injure your female boxers. The retreat in Spain were protecting the women. The IBA were protecting the women. The only ones who aren't protecting women is the IOC. Now, I know the IBA is not perfect. Many people claim there's corruption going on within that organization. I know they're not a perfect organization. But my goodness, at least they know what a woman is. The tests speak for themselves. They've given the results of the test. They've shown proof that these tests were conducted and nobody has disputed it. Nobody has contested the results, not even Khelif or Yuting. Jose Quiles was considered a more equitable match for Khelif to spar against. Only then was everything evened out, according to Lozano. He said it wasn't appropriate to allow Yuting or Khelif to compete in women's boxing. So Lozano is a former coach, but Khelif's current coach has also spoke out. Whether it was deliberate or not, this coach again has confirmed that it was the chromosomes that raised the issue. That Khelif doesn't have XX chromosomes. Sorry to break it to you, but even the coach has confirmed this. While defending Khelif, by the way, the coach still ended up confirming that this person doesn't have female chromosomes. Speaking to French publication Le Point, Khelif's trainer confirmed the Algerian boxer has a male karyotype and high testosterone. No woman is going to have testosterone so high that they have to take medication to lower it, or it's not fair. If you have XX chromosomes, even women who may have higher than usual testosterone don't have the same amount of testosterone as a man, unless they are a man. And that's how we know that there have been issues. A lot of these women who they've labelled as having high testosterone were actually males. This issue only occurs when it's males competing in women's sports. That's why we have testing. The IOC decided to get rid of testing in 1999. So who knows how many males have snuck in various women's competitions throughout the decades. The IOC is fine with it. Check their policy. So George Cazzola said Khelif was distressed upon being disqualified by the IBA. The trainer did confirm that the tests were given. Cazzola is president of the Association for Research and Evaluation in Physical Activity and Sport. He is a scientific advisor and former lecturer at Bordeaux University. So in 2022, Cazzola joined Khelif's training team to help prepare Khelif for the 2023 World Championships. Also the African Championships and the Olympics. And listen to what Cazzola actually says in defense of Khelif, believing that Khelif should be allowed to compete in women's boxing, in asserting that the trainer ends up confirming what we already know, that many people seem to be in denial about. So he said the disqualification was based on tests. Frankly, I found it disgusting. Regardless of the results of these biological tests, and without going into detail, that is a matter for biologists and doctors. This poor young girl was devastated to suddenly discover that she might not be a girl. Now, I'm not convinced that Khelif was unaware of being male until the World Championships last year. I'm not convinced of that. I think, this is just my opinion, I think more than likely these boxers, both of them, became aware of things, of being male, after going through puberty. I think things would come to light during that time. You would begin to question, why have I not started my period? Why have I not experienced this, experienced that? What's going on? I would believe around that time they would have had questions. And remember, the IBA did accuse both of these boxers of being deceptive, of trying to get into a women's competition knowing full well that they were male. Now, I'm not saying whether that's true or not. I'm just pointing out that the IBA did make that accusation. And the trainer, Cazorla, also didn't want to acknowledge the advantages that XY has over XX when it comes to physical performance. This trainer didn't want to acknowledge that. When asked, do you think that means Khelif has an unfair advantage over the female boxers? And he believes that Khelif is a woman despite the chromosomes and testosterone. And this is where the problem lies. I honestly believe those who are still defending this whole situation. Now, of course, there's nothing wrong with being compassionate to people who are born with DSD. There's nothing wrong with being compassionate to people who have been through this. But I believe those who are still defending two males competing in women's boxing, knowing the risks, are simply those who believe that if a man says that he's a woman, if somebody born male believes they're a woman, then we should just accept them for that. And we should allow them to live their life as a woman, even if it infringes upon females. There's people who just believe that. Many don't have a problem with the IOC's policy that allows males to compete in women's boxing, that it's wrong, that it's bigotry to speak up against this sort of thing. And I think those are the people who are still defending it. Even if Khelif happened to be trans, for example, you would still be defending this situation. Whether it's trans or DSD, they believe that these males have a right to be competing with women. And they don't give much thought to the safety of the women or their right to fair competition. They don't care. So he said, some say that special categories should be made. But even within a group of hypoandrogenic or hyperandrogenic people, there are differences between them. There is such a large variation that we cannot constitute categories. Really? This person's a scientific advisor and wants to deny categories in sports, the need for categories? It reminds me of something. Those TRAs who said they were happy to do away with categories.
To be clear then, in the Olympics, you would have just, open Olympics?
Open season.
Sex is irrelevant? Gender irrelevant? Everyone just competes against each
absolutely.
other?
I would too.
Really? So do you understand?
Well, everyone just can.
Eli, do you understand that by doing that, you literally end the Olympics? It's all over because only men would win. Do you understand that? That's why we separate them.
I don't want to take this down.
No, hang on. I want Eli to respond. You literally are destroying the Olympics for anyone who's not a man.
Not realising that that means the literal erasure of women in sports. Because obviously, the ones who are going to qualify, the ones who are going to dominate, are going to be males. Categories don't exist to accommodate males. They exist to accommodate females. And people of different age ranges, disabilities, all of that. That's why we have categories. So just like people think we should do away with categories to accommodate trans people or males who identify as trans, they feel the same way about males with DSD. Do away with categories to accommodate males with DSD as well in the women's competition. Because they certainly don't want to compete against other males, by the way. They consider it unfair. The irony. But when a woman says that it's unfair, she's a bigot. She's silenced. She gets suspended. They would sooner do away with categories than hurt the feelings of the male athlete or go against the wishes of the male athlete. So the trainer confirmed that the test did reveal that there were problems with chromosomes and problems with hormones. But he still believes that Khelif is a woman. Now, in order to come to that conclusion, it has to be because that is the ideology that you have adopted. So just understand that some people are just going to be of that belief. Regardless of how much science you present to them, they are always going to maintain that belief because they believe it's the right thing to do. They really do. Never mind the women who are getting punched in the face and being at a greater risk of injury, at a greater risk of even death. Some people believe that if you just correct the testosterone, then that's fair. So Cazzola said that Khelif met with an endocrinologist following the disqualification. And did the endocrinologist refute the results of the IBA's tests? Did the endocrinologist say that these two boxes are in fact female? Did this doctor say that the IBA's tests were illegitimate, not following procedure? Is that what this doctor said? No. What was done instead was to put Khelif on testosterone suppressants. This was to ensure that Khelif didn't fail any more tests, such as a testosterone level check by the IOC. But the IOC doesn't bother with any of that. However, they do carry out document checks. So if your passport says you're a woman, you're a woman. So the coach finished off by saying that Khelif can be compared on a muscular and a biological level to a woman. When we talk about having to put somebody on testosterone suppressants and, they have lost some muscle, so they're now more comparable to a woman, you only have to talk that way in reference to males. And this coach clearly cares for Khelif and wants Khelif to have the best opportunities in sports. However, in defending Khelif, he is in no uncertain terms confirming that Khelif is in fact male. A male who is competing in women's boxing with the aim of knocking women out. So if a woman wants to go to the Olympics, she now has to be willing to compete against a male athlete. And if you think that's fair, I can't help you. If you ask me, putting women in this position is outright criminal. So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Like, comment and subscribe. Take care of yourselves and God willing, I will see you in the next video.